All right, we're back again.
Yeah. What is it this time?
I think today we're going to talk about your biggest fear while wheeling. Right? So I have a lot of weird fears. Typically, it's going up something and turning to the passenger and being off camber on my driver's side, being light on my driver's side, especially when I can't see what's on the other side of the driver's side.
So for those of you who don't know, he's a right-hand drive TJ, male Jeep. So he's on the opposite side of the vehicle.
So like taking the bypass on You Gotta Be Nuts, once you come to the top of it where people go up, when I have to make that turn around and all I see is
blue sky
and the other cliff on the other side, scares the shit out of me. In Farmington, when I was similar thing, coming up on that side, having to turn driver into it, and it starts to lift. That's a pretty big fear of mine. I don't like being off camber and having that lift when I can't see what's on that side. That scares me a lot.
Well, I think if you were going to be more specific, right, if you thought about this, it's when you can't see what's on the other side, when you know
there's danger there.
There's height, like there's a cliff.
Yeah.
Like if you can't see what's on the other side, but you're in an area where you can see both sides of the world.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Right?
That's okay. You know, I can be off camber.
You're in a ravine. You know that there's a wall. Like it's not like
this picture.
100 feet. 200
I could be
feet.
driving that driver tire up in the air. No problems. Doesn't bother me at all. Yeah. But if that rock wasn't there and it was a drop in that tire, that would scare. That scares the shit out of me pretty bad.
That's fair.
Right. So that scares me. I'm not a big fan of Moab. That scares me. Right. Again, here we can flop. We can go over backwards.
Look, that was one person
that rolled off of Moab. One person every day. Right. I don't like the thought of a 300-foot drop or whatever they are. That bothers me.
All right.
Those are my big fears. What's your fear in wheeling?
So mine, right, they say that, humans would rather die than be embarrassed, right? We talk about that frequently, right? Your midbrain, the monkey brain, would rather die than be embarrassed, which is why these young guys jump off of stuff and peer pressure and all that blah blah blah. So mine for a long time has been the yard sale.
Okay.
Right? But a more, logical and practical one. We wheel in some really nasty remote places. Right? And so I have a fear of getting stuck in some shit, miles from anywhere where there's no...
What do you mean?
There's no recovery service.
Like we walk away from the Jeep?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's concerning.
Right. A major break in a terrible area. Right. And we there's no recovery, there's no getting it out, there's no pulling it out, having to leave it. In some narrow ass crack that nobody else is getting through either with that thing sitting there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Having to walk away and leave the Jeep overnight until we figured something out, that'd be... I think for me that kind of depends on where we're at, though.
Yeah.
Right? If we were out, like here in Arizona, if we did that, it'd definitely be a problem. But it's not... When we were there, it wasn't highly used, so it wouldn't... I'd be scared. I guess my fear is leaving my Jeep and people getting to it and taking everything out of it.
Yeah, that would suck. But, taking things off of it would be a lot
That's what I mean. Like
worse.
my tires and wheels,
Right. Or your
right? My
axle.
Atlas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, the shit on the inside would definitely be sad, but not like, yeah, they figured out how to carry my axle out. Then it'd really be a problem when we got back to it.
Yeah, because if they got your toolkit, you can replace it, right? And you can still maybe get that rig out of there without the toolkit.
Right.
But if you don't have wheels and tires or an axle or transfer, yeah, much more difficult. Knock on, it's probably not wood, but whatever it is. This last chili challenge, when we were leading trails, I'm really worried about somebody getting hurt. That's another concern I have with a group, is that there's a medical emergency.
Yeah, like getting stung by something.
Yeah. Yeah,
not knowing what you got stung by.
Yeah, you got stung.
Yeah, I got stung in the finger, and I mean, I was so concerned. I came and found you and told you, "Hey, I got stung in my finger. So far, I'm okay. But if I fall over, it's this finger." So,
oh, I thought you were just making a joke so you could show me that finger.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, that's concerning, right? Like, and right? Like, I agree. If I fall over, it's going to take 4 of you guys to get me up out of there. And by then, who knows? Right? Like, yeah, I think that's a legitimate fear. Not just for us, but anybody, right? Man, 2 years ago, when the newborn came on the trail with us.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah, it gets hot in the desert.
It does. Along those same lines, I wrote it down while you were talking. A big fear of mine is flopping to the side, like in this situation for some reason, against a rock and sticking a hand out and getting a hand crushed. That'd be pretty fucking terrible. Like,
yeah.
Right? And that's, if you see people yelling at you to get your hands back in.
Yeah, that's why. I mean,
yeah, we don't want to have to figure out how to get you out and save a hand.
Yeah, and you can't hold on to your roll cage on that side either,
Right. You got to grab your straps, really. Or steering wheel. One of the two, and hope for the best. But, yeah, those are big fears. What else? What else scare you out there? Yard sales.
Yeah, man. Nobody wants that. Have to go walk around and pick up your shit.
I think you just keep driving or walk away from it.
That blow-up doll falls out. All of your empties.
Yeah, the empties might be a bigger problem.
And and a lot of things are kind of irrational, right? So one of the questions you put down here is, what are the real chances of it happening? I mean, anything can happen, right? But,
yeah.
Some of the...
I think a handout is a real concern I have.
Sure, yeah. People. I mean, it's very instinctive, right, for people to do that. Your brain's wired to protect your face. So when your face is moving towards something, or your head, it's by design that you try to break that fall.
Let me ask you this then. What's the scariest situation you've seen me in? Or has there been one?
I mean, there've been a couple of times when, I mean, I don't want to see you flop. I don't want to see you flip.
Yeah, I think for me, feeling the worst other than the tire lifting, like I was speaking about, was on cabin. That's felt bad. I don't know if it was really that bad a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, but it was close enough to say, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. We're gonna hook up, right? Yeah, I think because the stuff that you were talked about earlier, where you can't see what's on the other side, and you know there's a cliff or there's a big drop, you know, so there's just blue sky and you're off camber and you can't see shit. In those situations, I've been able to see you either in a mirror or I'm standing there, you know, watching you. So those don't scare me because, you know, I can see how much room there is.
Right.
Ones that scare me when, you know, I think if just suddenly, you know, your rig goes back, like, wow, boom, fast, you know, because I'm fucking around trying to get some Instagram bullshit for you, right? And it catches me by surprise.
How about in Montrose? Did that scare you when I was on that kind of bad line and about to fall off the rock? Not as far as maybe getting hurt, but may have like really getting stuck.
I think the only thing that scared me was that, you know, we were participants, right? And, you know, we had the trail crew there. You were not on a good line, you know. But it's a lot different because you're on the other side of the vehicle, for one. And so the advice you're getting can be a little different, confusing for the spotter, confusing for you because the spotter's confused because you're on the different side of the vehicle. But also, you know, and we've talked about this before, right? Like sometimes, you know, people are focused on what's happening. If they're spotting you, they just kind of get fixed on what they can see. And they're not thinking about the side of the vehicle, the part of the vehicle they can't see. The wheel or... But yeah, I mean, but everybody was kind of cool. It was the beginning of the trail and everybody was friendly and cool. And so, when we were able to get in there and get you on a better line and everybody was cool with it, then yeah, I wasn't scared.
Strangely, the scariest thing I've seen you do that I felt was a bad position for you. Remember last year, I think it was last year, when we went and camped and you saw the bat?
Mm-hmm.
That place that we went out to, that we don't usually go to. We went that time, and I think we went a time before. I don't think it was the Gates of Hell. It was the other, I think it's on the north side or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? What's that area called? All right, so when we get in there and it has that notch that we can go up and both sides and come back and forth. The part right before that, when you just kind of tore up the side of it, usually you just kind of drop down and then go towards that notch. You went up on that side and then you turned hard passenger and you kept going up that. That really scared me because your Jeep did not look like it should do what it did, and it did it. But that one scared me. Like, I was like, oh, I do not like this. He is going to fall to that side. And you didn't. But that one, of all the things I've seen you do, anywhere, even now when you carry that front tire super high, your driver tire super high, everything now, that's still probably the scariest thing that I've seen you do, where I was like...
Well, there's nothing to fall on. If you flop on that...
Yeah, you're
probably going to roll sideways.
Yeah. Maybe to your top.
Yeah, because there's nothing to catch you.
Yeah. And that's the scariest thing I've seen you do of all the nonsense that we've done. You Got to Be Nuts was a little scary, just seeing you do that.
Scared me too.
Right? So, but, that was really, as long as you could get it in neutral, you're probably okay on that one, right? As long as you don't just slam on your brake and let it flip you over, right? As long as you roll back with it, if you can keep your mind going and be like, oh shit, neutral, reverse, and then roll out of it, you're okay.
Yeah, like when you come off of big drops, right? Like when I go over one with my wheelbase, and then I know you're coming behind me, well, not so much now, but definitely before with the shorter wheelbase. You're concerned, you watch, you get on the radio, whatever, but I'm not scared because I know you're not going to hit bottom and hit the brakes, right? If I didn't know that, it'd be
concerning.
Yeah, but if it doesn't require one of those big, Vietnam era helicopters to come, lift me out of a ravine to recover, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
That's at the top of my list. That and the yard sale. I don't know if it's probably a tie for first.
Getting airlifted in a yard sale year. Yeah, I mean, I think... I think
it's been a while since we've had the dog barking on the podcast. It's a nice feature.
Yeah, I don't know if they saw something in the election they didn't like or what's going on. Saw a mirror. I don't know. But yeah, I think those are, I think we're a lot more comfortable now. We know our limits of our Jeeps and some things. There's not a lot that, I think the biggest fear that I have watching you now more than anything is not so much danger. It's about, oh shit, that tire's in a bad place, and is your axle going to hold it? What's it going to break? That's a lot of my new fears watching you. You get in an undercut, and is it going to pull it up over, or is it going to get you twisted up? I think those are some of my new fears watching you do different things. Not so much flopping or rolling or anything, because if you are, it's going to happen, but it's at a controlled pace. I don't, it's not because you got on the skinny pedal and were flapping up or anything like that. It's, well, you got to make a choice, right? And I was thinking about this. Some of those things that you do, you get that driver tire so high up in the air. Well, at that point, you got to make a choice. Can you go another inch and it starts coming down? Or do you back up, right? Do you reset? And, those don't scare me anymore. Because if you keep going and you come up, you're going to come up. At this point, you're going slow enough. You know what to do, right? Like when we're on something kind of new, or it's just me and you, right? And no, I'm not out there watching you. I'm still in the Jeep behind you, just watching you go up it. Those strangely don't scare me anymore, regardless of how crazy articulated you're getting. Like when we were in San Hollow this last time, I don't know what day it was, but I think it was at the end of Chain Reaction. Towards the top, you were coming up in that notch, and you were getting lifting real high. But I was like,
Well, I got I got some inspiration from Jacob down in Las Cruces, right? Rock crawling with Santiago. Because that was the thing with him. He really could feel, right, in his seat. He could feel the balance, and he was always pushing that. And, he had that confidence, like where he just, he knew that rig. Now he has a buggy, but he had this he had a JKU, and he just could feel everything. He knew it so well that, So you have, for me, I'm still trying to get more comfortable and find,
where that point is.
yeah, feel that balance, right? And the more you do it, the more you feel it. And there's still some stuff that I think the best part of it though is now when something's really off. Like, okay, it's a bad idea. But like Kevin said, right? You don't know, right? There's that the vehicle can do a lot more than you think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, still trying to figure that out.
You know what did scare me? Garage in Farmington, the first time.
Yeah, it's crazy because the difference in, the first time we went through that trail, we were there with a young guy, David Linacher, Mike's son. And I mean, he grew up wheeling there, right? Like, and he just knew the line. Like, it's like bing, bang, boom, right through. And then we went out the second time and, it wasn't.
Actually, that didn't scare me.
It got weird.
Really? Like, you were in a bad spot, but it didn't really.
I wasn't worried.
Yeah, I wasn't worried. But I mean, the first time with Jacob, going over that narrow little
That's
arch on the with the drop off on the driver's side, where
that would have been dumb for me to drive over.
Yeah, I was scared. Right, I was walking next to you, watching, filming, and I had to say stop. Like, that shit scared me bad because I was scared your tire was going to slide off and you were going to drop off the cliff.
His did. His wheel did slide.
Luckily, it slipped on the inside. If it would have slipped, it was.
Yeah, if it slipped on the other side, that would have scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, like crazy. So that was a pretty rough one, and but we made good decisions and didn't.
I mean, so the scary situations, it changes, right?
Yeah, I think the maze, right? Those big drops.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking, I can remember when I started, like, curbs were like, whoa, really? I mean, when you don't have any experience with it, but that's the problem is once you get that first taste of getting on weird, scary stuff that you shouldn't be driving on, and you like it,
So, I mean, like, did you even think about the drops on the maze?
No.
Not at all, right, this time?
Not this time.
Like, that one big one, I think right before You Gotta Be Nuts, where you can't be too far passenger. That one a little bit for me.
Yeah, it's just big, though. I mean, you roll up on it, and as soon as you get your front down, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, there's a big rock there. Don't hit that rock.
Don't hit the rock, right? But, yeah, I didn't hardly think about them this time. Compared to the time before, where it's like, oh shit, this is a big drop.
I think that's the problem, right? You change it, till you get your first flop, your first flip, right?
Yeah, I didn't have to wear my brown pants the second time.
I wear my harness and I just say, okay, if it goes, it goes.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it doesn't.
What the harness and the cage and everything's for. Right? I mean, I think that helps, right? It gives us a little bit of confidence and helps us feel secure and keep pushing to see what happens. All right. You have a tie-in?
Oh, yeah. I have a new fear.
Okay.
Richard said he's gonna kick our asses if we keep using this stupid banner in the backdrop.
We got some feedback on our banner here.
So Richard at Metro Signs in El Paso is not impressed. He said he's going to help us out with that.
It
looks like somebody turned a banner over backwards and stuck a bunch of stickers on it.
I have no idea how he would come up with that idea. Who in the right mind would even do that? Where would someone just get a banner and flip it around? I don't know.
That's really ghetto.
That is. I don't know why he would think that.
So Richard, sorry, man. we'll change it eventually.
Yeah, we appreciate the feedback and your help with that. So,
all right.
All right, that's another one.
Hey, if you have any suggestions for topics, let us know. As always, we love the comments. We love to hear from you guys. So,
do you have your list? Real
Yeah.
quick, here's some upcoming topics that people have suggested that we're going to start working on, and we're going to work these in.
Auto versus selectable lockers. That's a good one. Factory long wheelbase versus stretched short wheelbase. Right.
I have some thoughts on that one.
What's it like being in around off-road teams, clubs, gatherings, etc., like Jeep meets, acceptance of body damage. What are you really built for? Where are you going with your build, and or your level of wheeling? So those are some that have been suggested.
Yeah, those are great. So we're going to work those in. Be looking forward to those. So we appreciate the comments. It helps us out a lot.
Yeah.
I like that you have an Apple sticker on your Android.
Yeah.
It's a good way to end it. Thank God for the crowd.